Howdy, my name is Alex, but you can call me Pidu. In the second part of this series, our main subjects will be reaction, selective memories, and nostalgia. Before those, however, Nilin and Edge will bring up some important philosophical questions that I don't want to ignore. So let's just get into those right away. In the end, man is not entirely guilty. He did not start his story. Nor is he wholly innocent. He continues it. Albert Camus.
My head may still be full of amnesia, but the risks Tommy and Edge have taken to free me have got me feeling troubled. Now they want me to punish Neo-Paris' privileged few. Edge talks about a clandestine mission to be accomplished in the heart of the Saint-Michel Comfortress. About a brutal wake-up of this high-security district, making it fertile for the seeds of revolution. And why not? Though his fight is legitimate, it's his friendship that has been clinging to my drifting thoughts. Why did our enemies erase my memory? Am I really that dangerous? In my chest, my throat, on the tips of my fingers, I can feel the throb of the power that scares them so. It scares me too. The power to take what someone is, their memories, and bend them to my will. To rewrite their history. To play God. The mere thought sends me reeling. If this ability really is the core of who I once was, then I must relearn what has been taken from me. I must master this talent.
Nilin's concerns about how she used her abilities to rewrite a personality makes her worry, rightfully, that it might have happened to her as well. This shows us how dangerous this power is to use on anyone, let alone the whole humankind. Her abilities might even justify that they took it from her, but now she seeks the opportunity to take it from everyone. To make it right.
Welcome to Saint-Michel District. Thank you for flying Air Sedova. Good hunting.
I could do with a guide.
No can do. Family business to take care of.
Your first target's name is Carrie Sheridan. I need some confidential codes hidden in her memory.
Who is she?
The most famous architect in Neo-Paris. Stored in her brain is every detail of every building she's designed.
How do I find her?
Your contact goes by the name of Bad Request. He's waiting on the last floor of the Saint-Michel Rotunda.
Here's a remarkably different landscape from the slums. This kind of mirror on our society is what we are more used to recognize, because we see it in our real life on a daily basis.
Nothing to see here, folks. Keep it cool. Keep it cool.
Choose a memory, then confirm your purchase.
Easy. First romantic kiss.
Behold the privileged few. Safe with their little comforts, while others live in suffering a few meters from their barricade.
No one chooses which side of the firewall to grow up on.
It's not their selfishness that I condemn, sister. It's their eagerness to forget everything that bothers them.
There, we have a connection to memories again. A social group only works how the individuals in them are playing their part in it. Their partial disagreements are repressed by the will to stay part of the community and to keep their peace of mind. They are inclined to get rid of the thoughts that they are special and unique. That girl is... let's just say she's one to remember.
I'm late. Dear Lord, I'm so very sorry, madam.
Hey!
Are you okay? Should I call for emergency assistance?
No! Hey, I'm fine.
If you should desire
sorry,
to file
okay?
a complaint, my identification has been saved by your Sensen terminal. Good day.
Finally! I've been waiting 20 minutes!
With me, it's Christmas every day. You shit sideways, I cuff you. You look at me funny, I track you down, then cuff you. Nobody gets away. Nobody touches me. The Christmas Show. Direct, live, and it's on Channel Fear.
And here you go. A little foreshadowing for you.
Is this your address, ma'am?
Yes. Yes, I think so. Thank you.
At your service. If you're prone to intermittent memorial access, you should activate your OG compass before going out.
Wait, looks like we have another one there. Miss, are you okay? You seem lost.
It's her, the escaped memory hunter.
Okay. Patrol 17 log. Escaped suspect ID'd. Recovery in progress.
The previous episode we've been all about negative memories that can cause changes in behavior, often resulting as an addiction as an effect of those changes. We even had some pretty depressive thoughts. But we shouldn't forget about good memories either, because they can lead to the same results. And by same, I mean the same. Even addiction, as mentioned, like exercising, or sex. But I wouldn't make another episode talking about the same thing. I just support my thesis with it that good memories are much stronger. I really think they are. Just usually, not always, they are more silent, or humble, or discreet. As I'm trying to explain this thought process, I'm not even sure which way to go on. If I'm not careful, this whole video will be made by just different kinds of examples. The main thing is, if you haven't figured out by yourself, that emotions are behind everything again. I say it like it's a bad thing. It really isn't.
Taking the high road, huh? Your instincts are coming back to you.
Who were they? The uniforms.
Saber Force, private police financed by Memorize. Crowd control with a smile.
Maybe it's just me, but I haven't seen them smiling. But anyways, Edge guides my thoughts sometimes as well, and he said a crucial word to give me a path to go on. Instincts.
She's around here someplace. Sweep and search. She's a pro, so keep it tight.
Arguably, instincts are, so to say, inborn reflexes, so I question it that this word should have been used. Conditioned reflex, on the other hand, is just what could have been the right term.
Hey, terrorist! I'm putting you in hospital!
For every action, there is at least one reaction. It's a basic rule for causality as well, and a deeper examination of that is on my radar for the future, but right now, and a few other times in this series, I'm barely touching the subject. As we experience something for the first time, it is the action for our senses, sensen, and we react to it in a way that could be based on a gazillion of different things. Let's just make the very stupid, impossible assumption that this is the very first time we ever react to anything. It's hard to even think about it like that. But anyways, something provokes a reaction from us. Our brain stores that reaction as a form of memory, and if the same action or something similar happens, the easiest memory to recall will be that one. So we won't exactly react again, like the first time we did, but repeat the reaction we once did. Now, of course, that is just as much true as it is not. Bear with me. This episode might not be enough for me to explain the complexity of this. Let's go with the true part for now. So we react the same way over and over again. We call that getting used to it. For example, we see a shiny sports car cruising next to us, and we whistle and say, "Cool." There's a friend with us who sees and hears it. Next week, there is a white poster for an action movie on a post, and we whistle and say, "Cool." The same friend is there again. I mean, that's just accidental that he's there. He's just there so I can make a better example. And a lot of things happened in this example. We didn't just react to something, but connected it with an emotional state, and when we got a similar emotional impact while in the same state, the same reaction was likely to occur. It started to become part of our character. The friend had the memory of us doing that, so in his eyes we became someone who is likely to react that way, and his brain formed an opinion about it, then stored it. We don't know about that opinion. We don't know if it made us likable or dislikable in his eyes, especially if we did not see his reaction. We might not even assume that he remembers a small thing like that.
What's this bad request guy look like?
Young, nervous, dumb haircut. A wannabe memory hunter favorite to the cause. Oh, and he's your biggest fan.
this way. We are almost at gate clear. Let's keep moving along fast.
Actually though, our brains assume. Our mind stores the small personality traits that we show about ourselves, and we are more likely to behave the same way next to one person and different next to another. Those could be our soft side in a relationship, our sharp tongue in a workplace, our focus during a race. Most of us like it if these are separated, so we can be only the chosen parts of ourselves in every situation.
You're almost at the Rotunda, and Saber Force has lost your trail. Well done.
Basically, our memories are likely to keep track of how we might appear in the eyes of people around us. Even society is standing on these fundamental bases.
Big Charlie and his grand schemes. Always striving for utopia, but creating hell on the way. That damn Sensen network was his first stab, and look how that's turned out.
He's the boss of Memorize.
No, he's the star genius. The capricious talent that gets to tinker away in his ivory tower. Memorize CEO is his wife, Scylla Cartier-Wells. One name, two heads, 1,000 reasons to bite your fingernails.
Conceived by Charles Cartier-Wells. Remember, long live La Commune.
Sorry guys, I just couldn't get this broadcast timing right during play, and I didn't want to linger longer.
Nemopolis. Your release from fear is at hand. Close by is a place of harmony. Nemopolis, the first memory commune. Live in
It's inessential propaganda anyways, so you're not really missing out.
Nemopolis, a radiant future conceived by Charles Cartier-Wells. Remember, long live La Commune.
Nilin the Hunter. I'm your biggest fan.
Thanks.
I've already scouted a route. It's not the first time I've been shopping in the land of the rich.
I'm looking for the architect's offices.
Everything's in here. An hour ago, I memorized the ideal path to avoid the surveillance drones. You just need to take it. It's an incredible honor to get opened up by the best. Like having your autograph. You done? Did you get everything?
Yes.
Follow my past. A trail of remembrance with everything you'll need to get past the drones through the Comfortress, all the way to Cowrie Sheridan. I've sprinkled the route with memo boys, anchored just so. They'll tell you when to activate my remembrance. And I appreciate the fact that you didn't siphon my head. For a second there, I thought you might wipe our encounter. Remember you soon.
He's my biggest fan.
Hello, Nilin. If everything went to plan, you were talking to me a few minutes ago, and you've now got access to this remembrance. Repeat what I do, and you'll be able to work your way through to your target. You better be ready, because here we go. Your Sensen will overlay the space around you with the memories I have of this area. Using your glove, you can synchronize with them to reveal hidden information. There you go. I'll let you synchronize. We'll meet up on the other side.
So that was the example for the true part, when our brain works like a storage where we kind of put everything on the right place for the first try. Well, more than a few times we are not that lucky. If we react to something badly, then our brain won't put that on the shelf of pleasant things. It gets confused where to place it, and guess what? We will act confused. That confusion will also be fueled with the lack of understanding of how we should have reacted. There could be a guess for the right direction, but it probably requires another try to prove its rightful place on that shelf. And then are lots of empty places on the shelves of human interactions, and even more failed tries float around in the storage. They can feed that confusion to a level where it creates Maybe today's most spread psychological problems of our youth. Anxiety.
Hey, I'm back. Ready to play Follow the Leader?
Nope. I'm not going to go down that road yet. Anxiety is bad, but again, much more complex than what I have implied. And if we are able to place the reactions on the shelves where we feel right, then we have other concerns. Like, what if we were wrong? What if circumstances have changed? The thing is that if we don't question our reaction right away, we usually stick to them and hold on to whatever results they cause. My best example is when we think that our joke landed and we are just blind to see everyone frowning around us. Because we're funny. That's our belief. Nobody will be able to convince us otherwise. They can try, but that could easily end up with butthurt and anger. I'm talking about narcissists, for example. They are full of their own bullshit.
Great. When you cross the drones, be careful. They don't ask questions first, if you see what I mean. Stay clear of their detection cones, and you got nothing to worry about. The problem is seeing their detection cones. I threw together a device that allows me to see them as an overlay on my Sensen, so...
There are lots of mental disorders, if not all of them, that take their roots in adopting the world in a bad way. But while they appear more distinct, for every one of them there's two handful of unnoticed people who are just, ordinary. Don't get me wrong, from snowflakes through soccer moms to Dwayne Johnson, there are lots of extraordinary people in this group. Get it?
Just a little jump to the finish line. God damn it! That was not how to do it.
The moral of this is that people should question their own flexibility, because they might have none without realizing it. Never forget that people are observant, just like yourself.
Christmas Murder. It's a compilation of my best arrests, uncensored. With Christmas Murder, you get the best of Christmas all year round.
This Kid Christmas. I knew him. He's a memory hunter like me.
Was. He's the shame of your profession. Could have been a genius, but he traded his soul for a fat paycheck.
Now it's time to get to the majority, who doesn't really have the so-called problems with perceiving human behavior around themselves. The average doesn't comprehend and react ideally to each other either. Their brain just doesn't make a big deal out of it. Then our biological storage, safe from disruption, is able to focus in a quite different way. When the memory is not a trauma or not a confusion, then what else could it be? Well, of course, it can be countless things, like a study for an exam tomorrow just to be forgotten the day after. Or it can be a memory of pleasure. Happy memories are the best. Though I did mention the study that we forget usually very soon. Why is that? The answer is easy. Because it's boring. Our memories are attached to the emotions we have when we acquire them. If there's no disorder to make it otherwise, our brain tends to be selective over everything. It wants to pick the good memories and store them in a way that we can recall easily, while it sets aside those that we are not really interested in. If you guess defense mechanism, then you are right. And this one is actually defending our mental health. Our brain works constantly on our feelings, trying to protect us from being depressed, trying to overshadow negativity with joyful thoughts. Memories are its best weapon and shield to do that, but they are sensitive and fragile tools that have only one chance to be created, then they are carved from stone forever.
Am I going to be climbing much longer?
Kaori Sheridan loves to contemplate her creations from her balcony. Keep following bad requests, remembrance.
Or are they? I just said that we tend to forget boring stuff easily, didn't I? Let me ask, what was your favorite subject in school? Was there one that you didn't really like but the teacher was cool and somehow made it appealing? Was there another that you were into even though the teacher was really dull? Was there one where both were interesting, or none? How would you rate them in a rank of enjoyment? And how would your grades reflect that ranking? I mean, I don't know, I'm only making this up as I write this script, but I'm curious about this experiment. The results should be closely overlapping. For example, I hated history class, and I never saw eye to eye with the teacher. Until the end of high school I was uninterested in history, but in college I was learning about local traditions willingly, and just because one of my friends had the nickname of Anjou, I have read a whole book just about the House of Anjou.
To get to the other side, we're going to exploit a privacy statute that forbids drones from scanning through walls.
Similar with literature. I hated it, but I liked reading, and after a while, writing. Actually, writing became much more, but I'm getting off subject. But not too much. My passion for writing changed how I remember my literature class. It is selective, and I have mostly positive memories.
Try to keep up.
And I like it like that. Although I know it wasn't that good, my brain just got rid of the negative and boring stuff. And passion does that a lot. Like when you have a crush, you start to like things that you were indifferent about just because they like it. You probably start to feel genuinely interested about those things, and you might stay like that even if they leave your life.
Well, here we are. I just hope all this works.
If they remain a good memory, you're likely to keep habits that tie you to them. If they become a bad memory, then you might switch your feelings and keep away from everything that reminds you to them. Whichever happens, your passion is behind it. Passion can appear in many forms, not just in love. You hear a song from 20 years ago and remember when your buddy showed it to you, or that one time when you saw it performed live, and it makes you smile, even if you're just catching a quiet part of it from a radio in a waiting room at the dentist. It can be a gentle touch, a smell of a pie, and the taste after again. It can be a joke, it can be the laugh, or the person who told it. It can be the awkwardness that nobody laughed, or the thought that somebody would have liked it, or just a soft breeze in the spring. Nostalgic memories might be the most defining aspects of our personalities, accepting as well as denying them.
You should be close to your target now.
What kind of memory am I looking for exactly, inside this woman's head?
Miss Sheridan directs the Phoenix Project, the Neo-Paris global renovation. I want to know the secrets of the Saint-Michel Dam.
The dam overlooking the district. Why?
Let's just say I'm a believer in the free circulation of persons and goods.
Checking on the measurements for number 62. You know what? That image needs to be moved.
No, that is not right. I need to check those measurements again. Where was I already? The dam? No, not the dam, huh? That's strange. It's really strange.
Did you get the security codes? Transfer them to me.
Edge, your bit rate's tumbling.
Someone's trying to hijack our comms. Try to get somewhere higher. Hurry. I'll see if I can find a clean channel.
There is a curious thing about all this though. As our brain tries to block negative memories, and does it in a way that negative effects from them might remain, another radical interference from its part is more common than most of us would think. It changes them, beautifies them. Makes one question the duality of good and evil if you think too much about it. And actually we have a pretty well-known condition in everyday life that serves as a perfect example: senility. Old people can forget stuff from a minute ago but remember even 60 years later like it was yesterday. Do they remember correctly? If the same story was repeated a lot of times, probably. But if the retelling changed from time to time a little, then it's doubtful. They might not even remember the event, but the story that was repeatedly told. Although one doesn't go inevitably senile with age, and one doesn't necessarily have to get old to be senile. As a matter of fact, it is extremely rare to have far better than average memory.
Nilin, do you read me? Nilin,
Edge,
do you read?
I read you.
I got around kids' malware. Send me the codes. Hurry.
Okay, uploading them.
Perfect. All that's left to do is to hack into the San Michel Dam mainframe.
Caught red-handed. You errorists are shameless. Nilin, all these years and still choosing the losing side.
We know each other!
You were one of the best memory hunters ever. Big girl. Maybe the best, but you took a different road. And look where that got you. A criminal, hunted, and a head full of holes. Political ideals are so last millennium.
You always waste so much saliva! Or is it just when you're on the air?
You always had that cocky, loudmouth thing going for you. I'm gonna enjoy this. Time for the Christmas show! No foul!
Get the hint and stay down!
But people tend to think that they are more than others, better than the average, maybe even exceptional in a negative way if that's what it takes, but never the ordinary.
Okay, you've earned a taste of kids' hammers. It's time to meet the Spiders! Yeah! Come on! Who is number one? Boom! Right there.
It's the same defense mechanism I've mentioned. That is always implying us that our lives matter, even if it's not clear why. To find out why we are here, what is the purpose that fills us with the sense of duty and value. It's survival.
Okay, so you're a masochist!
Well done, big girl. You're through to the final segment of the show.
Shut up and fight!
Excellent proposition. It's time for sudden death! Come on! Come on! That's the best you got! Louder! Louder! Kids Christmas! Come on! You can take it.
Come on, kid. Take the flame.
We might not always feel it, but whenever danger turns up, survival instincts jump to the front. Only one thing can, in rare cases, overcome it, and that is love. Protecting someone whose life is worth more for us than our own. This is a sentimental statement, I know, but true. Especially the elderly people are able to think like that, for their own life's value can slowly but more easily fade compared to young ones. As I am collecting my years and work more and more on my mental and spiritual balance, I feel that my old memories lose their failures and my mind is getting closer to constant peace. One might say, I care less. And as I see it, good memories are the way to prepare ourselves to accept the circle of life by the time that we get to the end of ours.
All these years, and still on the losing side.
No, not here. Not in front of my fans. No, wait, we can talk. I can give you a whole other...
Nealon, thanks to the codes you sent me, the Error's counterattack will begin in just a few minutes. Use all this confusion to get out and make your way to Slum 404.
Personally, I think that we have no purpose in life just because we are living. We grow up having all these impulses trying to give us the reason why we are also looking for it, but it's actually our decisions that determine why we are here exactly. And it's our own responsibility to take the wheel.
The name is Lillian. This time, you'll remember me.
At 10:47 this morning, sirens blared throughout the entire city when the Saint-Michel Dam suddenly opened, releasing billions of liters of water from the Saint-Louis artificial lake into the peaceful Saint-Michel district. As you can see on these Sen-Sen images, the gigantic wave swallowed everything in its way. The scale of this catastrophe is difficult to imagine at this time, as the Neo-Paris authorities are already reporting dozens dead and several hundred missing. On the other side of the dam, the sudden lowering of the water level has not gone without consequence for the inhabitants of Slum 404, a neighborhood well known for ongoing social unrest. The Sabre Force has immediately been deployed in and around the area to contain any potential riots. Indeed, the now empty Saint-Louis Lake has put an end to the isolation of the Bastille Fortress, home of the most dangerous criminals in Neo-Paris. Stay tuned for more.
We arrived to the end of the second episode, and actually my last thoughts connect well with the quote we got from Albert Camus in the beginning of it. In the end, man is not entirely guilty. He did not start history, nor is he wholly innocent. He continues it. In regards of what you've heard in the last half an hour, I'm convinced that we don't choose the first few years of memories that we collect. We get them from our parents. They get less given as later from year to year they become much more chosen, or at least they feel more like that and less determined by other people. You can say that we did not start our own story, but we continue it. We are not guilty for our first mistakes, but we lose our never regained innocence as we repeat them and make new ones. To make it parallel to the story at hand, Lillian had a wiped, entirely innocent mind when she escaped from La Bastille. Small spoiler from the very beginning of the next episode, but I have to discuss it now as she questioned what she did here and why. She could have left it all behind, start a new life, but she returned and without knowing what the results will be, she ruined the life of thousands. She questions if that's who she was originally, if that's something she would have done before her memories were taken away, or she's just manipulated to do the dirty work. I'm not spoiling more because this is enough to see how she feels that her innocence is lost again, because she continues the story. Is she right to do so? Or she's doing it because her first reaction to Edge, which is that listening to him saved her life and led her to safety, was put on the shelf of comfort? Should she get it off from there? There will be another video to answer that. Not even the next one. But if you're interested in the rest of the series, you should subscribe. And if you want notification about them, click the bell as well. Comment if you have anything to say about it, and like or dislike to help me with the algorithm. Hope it's the former one, and thanks for checking it out.